Hey, my cat loving friends, we have a super important podcast for you today. I want to ask you a question. What are your plans if something happens to you for your pets? We have Malissa Church, Esquire, our favorite attorney, here to walk us through what we need to know. This is super important. We'll be right back after this break from our sponsor. Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I am your co-host, Linda Hall, here with my ever lovely BFF, Rita Reimers.
Oh, I can't believe we're at holiday season already, but this is a perfect time to talk about planning, right?
It really is. It really is. And we love Melissa.
Yeah. Everybody knows who listens to us that I have not a trust. I have a term life insurance policy that will go to Linda to take care of my cats should anything happen to me. But there are things I haven't thought of that Melissa actually sent us a little note about. So we want to talk to her about everything you need to take into consideration.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Melissa. We know how cramped your schedule is. And we really appreciate you doing this because it's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you guys for having me. Anything that I can do to talk to pet lovers to sort of have them talk through the unthinkable is more than my pleasure to be able to do it. And you're kind to say the holiday season does it because, nothing so brings you to the holiday season quite like talking about death.
I know, right?
Well, it's something that people have to think about. It's hard. Even like with my parents, they want to tell me things. I'm like, no, just show me where the box. I need to know. I'll do it then. But really, it's not the way to go. You need to be prepared. Linda, you inherited some cats already.
Yes.
Tell us the story, and then Melissa can chime in and tell us what could have been done better.
Yeah. My daughter and son-in-law had 4 cats, which I'm very thankful because they used to have more. So I'm very grateful it was only 4. Unfortunately, my son-in-law got COVID in 2020 and we lost him after 26 days on a vent in a coma. And my daughter had to move back home with her 4 cats because she really couldn't afford to handle it on her own. So it was, the extra money of feeding and caring for them. She helps, but not a ton. And integrating them into the home. And it's a lot.
I was actually thinking about Marley, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and Sebastian was 38 when he passed. My second husband, Dan, died when he was 41. Stuff happened. Melissa, your partner in the firm got cancer and we lost Audrey. Mm-hmm. And,
That's awful.
And you've got some of the cat. I'm sorry. I don't.
What happened though when you brought in that other cat? You had to get the cat. You called the vet. We were just talking about it. You had to call the vet. The vet wouldn't let you. Do you know? That's the one I'm talking about.
So, I mean, but to even take it back up further than that. So she was a cancer survivor. She'd had cancer and had been cancer free for 10 years and was cleared, screened. Everything was great, except for 2 months later when they told her she had stage 4 metastatic and she had no plans in place. And we do estate planning. So I thought that was hilarious. I was like, oh, we're a pack of hypocrites, aren't we? Look at us. We've got nothing in place here.
The cobbler's kids have no shoes. So that is the thing that is always,
she had 3 cats and they were her babies and she loved them and I knew them too. And so once we got her through that first round of things being bad with cancer and things leveled off, I sat down with her and said, we need a plan for your 3. We do. She had Ruby, Cashmere, and Scooter. And I'm like, we need the 3. So we talked. And she's like, well, Cashmere and Scooter need to be together. Ruby can't go with them. She doesn't like the boys. So I'm like, okay. So we need to find one person to take Cashmere and Scooter, and then somebody will take Ruby. And I said, I'll take Ruby because I have predominantly girl cats. We have 2 girls and a boy. We had 2 girls and a boy at the time. I thought it'll be okay. So she took and her brother agreed to take the 2 boys. So great. We've got this plan in place. We roll on through the year, and Audrey's mom, who feeds a pack of cats outside her house, is no longer able to live at home. So Audrey, as her condition's going downhill, decides last December to go and rescue 3 more cats that we have no plan for. And her health going downhill. And I'm like, Audrey, we need to get a plan.
It'll be Rita on her deathbed. Rita will be taking in cats that are about to be euthanized with alarms
I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Things in her arm. And she'll be like, they're
I keep saying,
go get it.
No more. But actually, when I was at the vet this week, I didn't even tell you this, Linda. And I was talking to one of the techs I know really well. She was talking about how they've been finding cats and kittens outside their door. And I said, well, I don't want to take in any more. But if you have a senior and, there's nowhere to go with her, I'll take it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well,
Well,
I want to go.
Well, so I mean, when I took Ruby, I didn't. So Ruby, Audrey did pass, and I took Ruby. We managed to find homes for the 3 stragglers, except for one who's our office cat. So he's here now. That worked out. But just even getting her vet records, I had no idea how old she was. I didn't know anything about that. I kind of pieced together where she took her to the vet because Audrey didn't tell me, and I had to ask my friends and family. So I contacted the vet. And they said, well, we're not going to release anything to you because we don't know that the custody of the pet is transferred. So, being the estate attorney handling her estate, I'm like, all right, let me send you the death certificate, and I sent it over to them, and they promptly sent me for the records, and I got them for her brother too, for the other 2. But yeah, that was one of the things I was like, just first off, just make a plan.
Yeah.
And even thinking about if you've got multiple cats, should they go together or should they be separated? Are they grumpy roommates or are they bonded? And
Yes.
that's kind of stuff that you have to think through and then revisit it. We did not revisit that plan when her
Yeah.
brood changed, and we didn't revisit it until way too late. So it was a stressful, panicking thing.
Yes.
Make sure that after you identify your caretakers, make sure they know who the vet is. Any
Yes.
food preferences, any personality quirks. Ruby has a thing for eating string and ribbon, and I remembered when she did this, she ate a bunch, and so Audrey had to
that's
have
not good.
surgery.
Yeah.
And I
Surgery.
so it was good to know that about her because everything gets put away very neatly. I don't leave any dangling anything around if Ruby's around.
Yes. That's a really good point. So I want to, as Rita said, she's had a plan going. So you sent us 10 points. We're going to
Yes.
judge Rita.
Oh, shoot. But wait, first, I wanted you to talk about when Mom Fulton passed. And
Yeah,
you tried to take the cat to the vet. That's
I
what I was
had
trying
some
to take you
dear
to the vet.
friends. Yeah. And he passed from cancer. And then she, while he was still sick, she found out she had lung cancer, 2 totally different kinds. And I mean, yeah, a mess. So I just adored her. And I used to be a nurse aide for hospice. So I started hanging out with her and helping take care of her. And after she passed, she had 2 cats, Molly and JC, and they were going to my daughter. And I called her vet's office and said, we need the records. We'll be transferring it to our vet. Well, I can only speak with the owner. Then hire a psychic because she's not here.
She's passed.
I apologize to those people because I was not at my best and I probably was not the sweetest.
Well, that's something even I haven't thought about. And when we go through the 10, I
Yes.
fail at that. I never thought about telling my veterinarian.
Yes. So number 1, make a plan for your pets. Detailed, like, are they going to be placed together separately? So we're giving Rita a point for that. She's got 1 out of 10 so far. And then revisit regularly and change if needed. I mean, we've discussed it on occasion, but I don't know that we've really properly revisited it.
Probably not. I mean, you don't know which cats go together and which cats need who eats what. I haven't.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. That's something that I saw when I looked on there. So yeah. And then, communicating with your caregiver, it's really easy to say, right? Like, oh, well, Susie will take my cats. Does Susie know? Because
Exactly.
Yeah, that's important. You kind of have to tell people, yeah, I've tapped you to.
Yes.
Just because a cat lover does not mean they're going to be in a position to take your cats.
Right.
Well, poor Linda, she's got 12, and if she takes in my 15, wow. Yikes.
I'll have 27 cats. 27 cats.
And then they're in charge at that point.
I mean, they already are. Come on now. So Rita's got 3 out of 10 so far. Ensure your designated caretaker can access your house to care for the pets during an illness.
You have a key.
Or after your death.
Linda's
do have a key.
my designated. You have a key.
Yes, I do have a key.
My parents have a key too.
But I'll tell you, that's a very good point. When we had the cat sitting business, Samus, we love our Samus. Samus had a stroke.
Right. Our sitter.
And God bless her, she had the presence of mind. She calls or texts or something and says, I'm on my way to the hospital. I have the keys to these people's homes. I don't know how she literally, one side was completely paralyzed and she put the cats first. God bless her. So yeah, afterthought, not so great, right? How are we getting in? What are we going to do? Especially if you're sick, right? It's not just death, it's illness. I'm sure you had to help Audrey quite a bit.
And I had a key, and that was
Yeah.
helpful because she couldn't scoop the cat boxes
Oh, yeah.
due to cancer. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
scooped the boxes, and so we got 3 or 4 of us together, and we took a rotation on who would scoop boxes on what day, and we would go in and we would scoop the boxes because those cats are everything to her, and she needed to have them around, and it just that to me was just like, okay, this is a non-starter, but this has come
Yes.
up in practice where I've
Mhm.
had people contact me. Somebody they know is a friend, it's not family, a friend or somebody died. They knew there were pets in the house and they had no idea if anybody was going to be able to go over there and take care of the pets. And that becomes an emergency situation.
Yeah.
And nothing goes fast in probate court. It just doesn't. So if you have to go to probate court and ask them for permission to be able to get access, it could be a
Yeah.
bad situation. So, it ended up being kind of a, well, do you know someone who has a key? Well, yeah. Am I allowed to go in there? And I was like, no, but go in there because those animals, who's taking care of them? I mean, you want to there's a couple
Exactly.
dogs. I was like, you need to get those dogs and a fie on anybody else who tries to come at you for it, get the dogs. And so she did, and it wasn't a problem. But that was one of those things that I put in my tip book where I was like, okay, if you have pets and you love your pets, just make sure somebody else can get in the house
Mhm.
and take care of them in a jam,
Yes.
just so that that if something did happen, they could get in there and at least get the pets, cats or dogs, somewhere safe,
Yes.
where they have food and water and everything that they need, and that type
We
of stuff.
Well,
actually had a,
more than once we were called by people in the hospital or in the ER
yes.
who weren't
Yes.
expecting to need care.
And sometimes if they were in an accident or something, they weren't coherent or conscious or were at least drugged out of their minds. And it's the next day and they wake up and go, my cat. And the one had a special needs cat that could not walk correctly and could not get in the litter box. It was using pee pads. And I mean, it was a thing, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? And then I think communicating that, because we had a client that adopted a cat. We always ask if they know the backstory. Yeah. The shelter said their human died. And so the landlord just tossed them out of the apartment and threw them
It
outside.
happens a lot.
I was devastated. So make sure your landlord knows someone will come. Here's the number to call, right? Like, yeah, make sure all the parties know.
Oh, one of our clients in LA passed away from cancer, Linda.
Yes.
Geffner.
Geffen.
And
Yep.
she had 2 cats, and I knew she wanted those cats. I knew who she wanted them to go to, but none of her friends knew. So by that time I was living here, so I had to call one of my sitters and tell her, run over there, get the cats. This is where they go. Otherwise, they would have ended up in the shelter. So you really have to communicate to everyone in your life.
Yes.
What are your wishes for your cats?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Rita got a call from a shelter one day. Human died. 2 15-year-old Norwegian forest cats, brother and sister,
Scooter
15,
and Missy.
Scooter and Missy. Scooter has since passed. Missy's still around at 17 now. But they said, we are not going to euthanize the cats. However, they're dying. They're so upset and so stressed.
In a
they're
cage
dying
together. And these are big cats.
Yeah, they're Norwegian forest cats. And they're grieving. I can tell you from Sebastian's loss, these cats grieve for a long time. I mean, just what a mess. And that human, there is no way she ever imagined those cats going and ending up like that.
Never.
Oh, yeah. Number 5.
But they do grieve. Yeah.
They
you're
do.
quite right.
Oh, they do.
grieve.
Oh,
They grieve horribly. I mean,
Inky.
If you can get a piece of clothing or something from their owner,
Yes.
I got one of Audrey's sweaters, and that's still one of Ruby's favorite things. And we put it in her snuggle safety spot in her room, because she has a room and on the bed there, and it comforts her. She gets up there and she makes biscuits on it and everything like that, and just get something that has their smell, because they're so spirit oriented.
We tell people to do that when they go on vacation. If they're going away for the night or something, put a shirt out. So that makes perfect sense. I just hadn't really thought about it, but yeah.
Melissa,
And
did you have trouble handling any of her cats? I mean, if you're going to be taking over care, you need to make sure that person can handle your cats, right?
Yes, and we,
And
we were very well familiar with each other, because I'd been over her house a lot anyways. But then, the last year of her life, I was over there scooping the boxes several days.
Yeah.
My husband joked around and said Ruby knows me as Miss Litterman, and that he's Mr. Litterman. And that's my husband. And because I was always scooping her box, but she knew me, and the boys knew her brother. So everybody was good. We didn't really have any trouble with everybody was rather familiar with
Right.
who's taking care. So that was that was good.
Good.
Make
That
Yeah.
sure
helps
everybody
the
had food.
cats too, if it's
Mhm,
somebody
it
they
does.
know.
Definitely. We say that, when we're moving home, we tell people if they're moving homes, look, I get it. Your cat's bowl is ratty and you're buying a new house. So you really want a nice new cat bowl, but you're not allowed until you've been there for a little while because your cat needs all these familiar things. So yeah, knowing to bring all of those things. Okay. Number 5, share your plans with the vet. So
I have
think we
not done
covered
that. I
this.
never thought of that.
Yes, honestly. Yeah. Rita was like, did you see
Although
Melissa's list?
Dr. Glenn knows you're my business partner, I don't think it would be a problem. But other people, you have that issue trying to go to the vet with Marley.
Melissa had the issue and she's an attorney.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't argue with attorneys, people, but
Well, I'm a pretty normal person, and I don't usually swing it around, But when that vet got attitude with me, I was like, okay, here comes attorney me.
break it out. Yes,
You know,
exactly.
Yeah, for your information, she is my law partner, and here is the personal representative who I have copied on this email, who has 2 of her cats as well. Please provide the information forthwith, and if you need any other, I mean, it was like, like I said, I don't
All
get
the
like that, but
jargon and yes, I know. Well, under
I
the
got like that.
circumstances, and that's what I said when Sharon died. It wasn't just that I had to go through this and it was frustrating and I'm worried about the cats, but the woman just died in the living room with me standing there. I mean, I was kind of messed up,
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
Just-
emotional, totally emotional
Yes.
for the caretaker, the person taking over care of the animals, and for the animals themselves.
Yeah. I
Do we
know.
want to
do you want
do
me
we
to
want to
stop?
get those last few questions before we head
Well,
for
I was
break?
going to say we hit 5. So if you want to take the
Oh.
break and then we go, we could do it.
Yeah, let's take a short break and we'll be right back. I'll continue answering my test questions. And we're back with 19 Cats and Counting with the awesome Malissa Church. She's an attorney, an estate planning attorney, so here to talk to us about planning for our cats and dogs should the worst happen to us. I've been given a test of 10 questions.
So far, you've scored 4 out of 5. You're not doing too bad.
She's doing
I'll
very
give you
good.
credit.
It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, 90%.
Number 6, an instruction sheet with each pet's preferences and needs.
I don't have that anymore now that we don't pet sit. I had it all in our Pet Sitter Plus
case
program.
yeah,
So
yeah.
no, I failed that one.
Well, and me, granted, I'd probably go to one of my family members, something we've discussed, but like Kismet is FIV. He's lost most of his teeth. He can't eat dry food. I mean, somebody would just take him in and be like, guess the cat's eating. No, the cat's not
Plus,
eating. 'Cause the
when
cat
I
can't
took in
chew.
Scooter and Missy, I didn't know. What do they eat? What do they like? What is their personality? Do they even like each other? Turns out, no, they didn't like each other very much.
Typical siblings.
Well, and then I think medications, if they're on medications, if they
Right.
have tendencies, we've got an older guy who's, he goes into what I call like his Gandhi-esque hunger strikes every now and then, and he would just, decide not to eat. He's a rag doll. He's beautiful, but he just like stops eating. And we keep a gel on hand to put on his ear that will spur his appetite. And
Yes.
he's also a finger licking fiend, all chicken all the time, and he will eat chicken or turkey when he won't eat anything else. So it's like we do the mirror test, and then we're like, okay, poultry, and
Yeah.
nobody would know that,
Exactly.
And a cat who doesn't eat cannot live for very long.
Within 2 days, they can start going into liver problems. 2 days. That's not a lot. And it was before I think I joined Just for Cats. We had the pet sitting company, but we were very insistent that our sitters check in with the people to make sure that they are home.
Yeah.
And you know where I'm going with this one. Guy didn't come home.
Committed
He
suicide.
committed suicide.
But had we stopped going, the cat would have been alone and starving and maybe dead.
Yeah, because his wife was off somewhere else. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean,
Well, his
stuff
wife,
happens.
she
You've
was
gotta be
they were in
prepared.
they were in Carmel. She was grieving. I mean, her husband, they hadn't even been married a year.
Yeah,
Mm.
just
Last thing
yeah.
on her mind was the cat. So her relatives thanked us that we
Yeah,
kept
yeah.
going. But I'm sure they had no contingency plan in place, or young people. Who thinks of
Exactly.
that? But
Somebody
you
needs to
should.
check in and make sure. Yeah, exactly. It's scary. And we get a lot of these cats in the shelters. And if I could just stop and make a plead, so many people claim the cats are strays so they can avoid paying the rehoming fee.
It's true.
And it leaves us with no information. If we know what this cat has been through, how this cat has lived, who the cat has lived with, blah, 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 we can so much better understand the cat. If we get the backstory, we're often like light bulbs over our head, like cartoons going, oh, that's it. Okay. And so,
Well, how many people, how many cats and dogs, their owners died during COVID, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, how many
Nobody
tests during COVID
expected that.
I kept for sure. For sure. So, yes. Okay. Number 7, consider a pet trust.
I want to know what that is because I don't have one. Tell us about that, Melissa.
Sure. It is literally a testamentary trust, which means it's a trust that comes alive. It gets funded and comes alive when your will is probated. You can do a standalone one too, but most people prefer a testamentary one, and it's a section in your will, and it says, I'm designating this much money, or I'm designating a percentage of my residuary or something for the pet trust. And usually the caretaker is the trustee, but not always. Some people are good with animals, bad with money.
Right.
It's really cut. I mean, but then you have some folks that are, like, okay, I want the caretaker to have the money. I totally trust them. And I kind of want to compensate them for taking on the animals. So it's, it just sets out the basis of, things that you want to be sure are done for the pet. That's where you can kind of lay in some custom things about what the criteria is and what you want them to do. And then you have to think about, okay, when my last cat or pet dies, that money goes where? Does the trustee get to keep it? Does it go to your heirs? If there's anything left over? It just depends.
I don't have that in place with, so I would take my life insurance policy and put and leave it to the trust.
That's right.
Instead, and I'd have to figure out what happens if there's no cats left when I die.
Yeah.
And if there is,
I never thought of that.
This would be only if there are cats there when you die. If there weren't, and that trust did not need to come into being, and then it would go into the catch-all, which is the residue of your estate.
Okay.
But I had one client who did rescue for a very a specific breed of dogs, and it was kind of her passion. She left the house to the person who's going to be the caretaker, but only if they were the caretaker.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
And then if the dogs, so he could live there, she had kennels set up and everything else. And so that he could stay there, take care of the dogs. And when the last dog died, he got the deed to the house, or, it went to the rest of her heirs. I can't remember which way it was, but I remember that being the term of it. Okay. And it was just a section in her trust in her will. Yeah. So it's just a section. If you do that, if you did want to leave an insurance policy or a retirement account or something like that, you would want to do a beneficiary change after you signed your documents, and you would want to send a copy just of the document to, you probably have to attach that with the form to show them, okay, here it is, it exists. Because sometimes insurance and retirement folks, they're used to living trusts, which are different. Those you create them and you fund them while you're alive. Testamentary trust doesn't happen until you die, so it's a little bit different beast. You have to tell them, look at section such and such in my will. And then there it is, and they'll see it exists. Yeah.
Well, I gotta put a pin in that. Sounds like something.
Yeah. I mean, if Rita had 1 or 2 cats, I'd be like, honey, don't pay for an insurance policy. Keep it. I got this. But we know, as I said, Sharon died. Nikki got JC and Molly. JC immediately had a problem with his eye and required surgery on his third eyelid. Strangely, the surgery didn't work. That was a gross thing. He herniated. It was really nasty. Anyway, surgery number 2. They were both seniors. I mean, just food and litter, my daughter was probably minimum wage at the time, yada, yada, 1-bedroom apartment kind of thing. It was tough. And fortunately, her family helped with a lot of the things. But yeah, I was like, I never thought about that. Not only who's going to take care of my cat, but can they afford to take care of my cat in the way I'd like them to be? Are they going to go to the cheapest?
You have trouble brewing behind you.
I'm just grabbing something to do a toss because somebody's irritating someone.
Trouble brewing.
It's Deadpool. Of course, it's Deadpool.
The brothers.
Always Deadpool. Yes. Yes.
So Melissa, I only have a term life insurance policy. I don't have whole life. So it may be up before I'll probably still have cats when it's up. So what would you recommend would you recommend I just renew the term, or is whole life really the way to go to protect your pets?
I think it's really whatever suits you
Uh-huh.
with what you have. You just want to make sure you have something in place, be it term or whole life or a bank account. You can have a bank account that gets paid over there if you had a savings account, a
I have
retirement
a
account.
pathetic bank account, but yes, I have one.
But really any asset at all.
Mhm.
But even if you don't have the money to fund a pet trust or to do something like that, you do want to think about, okay, I want my pets to go to so-and-so, or I want my personal representative to do this. Even just something as simple as designating that if you can't find a place for them, they go to a no-kill shelter.
Yeah.
Having
Yes.
that in place in
Oh my
there
gosh,
makes it
yes.
very clear that even if you can't take them, you've got to find a no-kill shelter situation or a foster situation or something
Right.
like that for
There's a
them. So
really
it's
good
not just
point.
they don't feel like they've
Yeah.
just got free range to just take them to the
And dump
animal.
them, as many family members do, sadly. Not everybody
Yeah,
gets our feelings for our pets.
no.
Number 8 is be realistic. What does that encompass? Realistic in what? Yeah.
Um, well, okay, ideally you might have 3 cats that can go together, but the likelihood of that happening may not be so because 2 of them might be special needs and the financial burden might be too much on somebody.
Sure.
Got
That
it.
makes sense.
Set it so that ideally A, but if not that, then B is
Good.
acceptable. You know what I
Good.
mean?
Yes.
So that like,
Yes.
okay, but if they have to be split apart to have an acceptable home where somebody can take care of the special needs or, anything like that, then understand that you're doing the best you can for your pets and you may not be able to create the ideal situation. I guess in other words, don't let a concern that you can't do the ideal keep you from doing anything at
I
all.
gotcha. That
Thank you
makes
for that. There's
sense.
a
I
lot of
guess if that
guilt.
makes sense.
JC and Molly did not live a long, long time. Maybe, I don't know. One of them passed within probably 6 months and the other one maybe a year later. And the guilt my daughter felt for not, she was kind of our adopted family member. And so she called her Nana. And it's like, I let Nana down, right? I did
Yeah.
not, the cats die. I mean, there's a lot of guilt that comes with it. So the more you can appease on that, I promised Rita on her deathbed that I'm going to take care of her cats.
I'm not dead yet, honey.
I'm going to die myself. No, I mean, I will die myself if I have to rehome a cat, right? So it's nice to have
Yeah,
those,
but if
yeah, your
they're
cats aren't going
older,
anywhere.
you kind of have to know that with the grief on top of that and the change of care, it might expedite their death,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, I do think that was part of it. Yeah, exactly. So before agreeing to be the caretaker yourself, think about your existing pet family and needs.
This is for Linda.
So
You
yes,
think about your existing pet family before you take on my
exactly.
15?
Yes. Once
Yes.
again, if Rita had 1 or 2 cats, it would be easy peasy lemon squeezy, but she's got 15. So yes, I've thought about it. I know it's not going to be a smooth transition. I mean, I integrated 4 and 7 and thought that was a big deal. Now let's try 15 and 12. You got to live for a long time.
Just hope I don't have
But
my parents' dogs by then, because they
yeah,
have 5 dogs. Could you
that's
just
my
see me with 5
deal
dogs
breaker,
and 15 cats?
deal breaker. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't even begin to imagine the guilt I would feel if I had promised her this and then had to rehome
Well,
a cat,
Melissa, you're
right?
going
Like,
through it right now, right? You had your own
I
pets,
am
and
because we love Ruby, but as we have unfortunately learned, her issues with her brothers seem to be just issues with other cats. She loves
yeah,
people, she loves children. All we can figure, and we have tried a lot. I mean, we have been trying, we tried numerous products to calm people down. We've tried
yeah,
all variety of introduction techniques. We tried calming treats.
yeah,
We've
we did
tried
a session with you, and
yeah,
still,
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
she's super smart. She is a very smart cat, but we just think she hates her own kind. We think she's a cat who thinks she's a person and she really does not like cats. She
Right,
really only likes
exactly.
people. And so I'm trying very hard to find a home for her where she can be an only cat. I think
Yeah,
her ideal situation would be her and some people, and that's it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's challenging because most people who love animals already have an animal,
yes, true.
Yeah,
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
so right now Ruby unfortunately is isolated in a very large spare bedroom. Don't think she's being cordoned off anything, but
Right.
Audrey
Yeah.
actually saw it. I mean, Audrey called it the 5-star hotel for cats because we had to take care of another cat before she passed away. So I know she would approve of the surroundings. But we had to do it because Ruby be out, and I could count to 10. Like if she put her up and she gets in a fight, I let her out. I can count to 10, and there's an explosion, and
Yeah.
it's Ruby. It's Ruby
Yeah.
with somebody.
Yeah.
I know
And
I offered, but I have 15 cats, so I'm like the last resort. But we'll help
well,
network her on.
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes. Anybody
but
listening? Yes.
we have a pariah cat who had, after several months of this, the child had taken to living on top of the fridge.
Mhm,
She's not moved, and because she's the particular target of Ruby,
mhm.
and that's not fair to her. And
100%.
and it just is like she has no quality of life because she's just terrified, and she'd jump down off the fridge and it'd be like, furtive run to the cat box, furtive run to food, and then back up on the fridge, and she's just looking over her shoulder for Ruby.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so
It's a lot of
Ruby,
stress for them too.
yeah,
It's a
Ruby's in her
lot.
apartment, and Mary has descended from the fridge and is now no longer scurrying around because she's afraid Ruby's going to come up on her.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to think about not only the cats you're bringing in. So this was a mistake we made when my son-in-law passed. And of course, we're taking my daughter's cats in. They're their children. I mean, you lost your husband. I'm not making you get rid of your cats. But our focus was on her cats, right? They're in a new home with new animals. 3 of them had never seen a dog before. Mind you, it's a Chihuahua and she thinks she's a cat. She literally pooped in the litter box a few days ago. And
I know,
we were all
right?
like,
But
"What's
here,
wrong with you?"
Linda, here's a
But-
mistake that you made. And I've made this mistake too. You assumed your cat's behavior wasn't going to change. But guess
Yeah.
what? It did.
Yeah. 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 Had I put conscious thought into it, I would have realized that.
Mhm.
But I was just focusing on Nikki's cats, right? And yeah, my Kismet got so afraid, similarly to Mary. Kismet was rescued from a feral colony, was not feral, was beat to snot, was FIV positive. So I adopted him from the Carolinas. A volunteer flew him to me. And he got a little PTSD when those 4 cats came in, and he was hanging out on the kitchen counter. And then somebody started peeing on the counter and the stove. And I naturally assumed it was my daughter's cats because my cats would never.
But guess
Yeah,
what?
it was
They
Kismet.
did.
My husband caught him clean in the act, and I was in shock, but he was so scared. He was too scared to get down. So, I mean, we fixed it. But yeah, you got to think about the person's cat you're taking in, and then you have to think about the effect that'll have on your
And
cats.
again, Melissa, you're living this right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mary, my husband found Mary peeing in the kitchen sink because she was too afraid to go to the bathroom.
Exactly.
And that's,
Exactly.
that was kind of it. We said we really need to do everything we can. So I'm working with a no-kill shelter to list her as available for adoption, but we're going to keep her as foster because again,
Yeah.
hating other cats, that would just be a disaster if she had to go be in a place with other cats because she'd be Ruby.
Yeah.
And it just will not work. But yeah, we wished we had thought it through a little bit more. But like I said, I stupidly assumed, oh, she doesn't like boys, it'll be okay.
Yes. It's
Knowing
just a
you
boy
though,
thing.
I think you would have still done what you did, but maybe do it. You might have done a little differently, or started trying to find a home for Ruby
home for
from the
her from the
beginning
start,
instead of
yeah.
trying to shove 2 pieces of the puzzle together that don't quite fit.
Yes, exactly. So, all right, number 10, establish and communicate your backup plan
I have
if
no
placement
backup
with the
plan.
caretaker falls through.
I fail that one.
So,
what did I get?
yeah.
Like 6 out of 10 then?
Or you got 6 out of 10. Yeah. So, yeah,
It's
I
not
guess
good.
that's
Let's
one,
not.
but-
The pet trust is extra credit. So
Oh, okay.
let's say she got 6 out of 9.
9. Okay.
And
That
I
puts her in a
think-
better score. All right. We'll
yeah,
take it.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But I mean, no,
you-
it's true. The pet trust is extra credit. So
Yeah.
not
Okay.
everybody needs
All
a
right.
pet trust.
Well, exactly. Yes.
Option.
Well,
Exactly.
see, you've illuminated some things. See, I thought I was all prepared, and you've shown me I'm really not. So the average person is probably even less prepared than I am.
Which is why we so badly wanted to do this, because these are things we don't think of until we're in it, and then we're in trouble, right? And yeah, I really haven't thought of it. I mean, if I predecease my husband, of course, he'll take care of the cats. And then I've got a daughter and son who are in love with the cats. But my son's talking about maybe going into the Navy next year. So I don't know. Yeah. What if something happens to that person, right? Oh, yes.
So
You've given us-
communication and planning
Yes.
is really, and
Yes.
contact a good lawyer to help you draw up that
just-
pet
All I
trust.
can say is be easy on yourself. One of the reasons why we didn't try to rehome group Ruby sooner than later was because of my guilt of feeling like I was letting Audrey down by not being able to keep her and everything. And it was honestly her brother. So I was talking to him about it because he was saying the guys were leveling in. And I'm like, yeah, it's 7-8 months and we're not settling in. And he said, she wants what was best for the cats, even your cats. I mean,
Yes.
and I was like, yeah, you're totally right. She would. And I knew he was right. I mean, like, yeah, you're right. I'm just adopting this guilt as part of my own grief process, which you need to consider when you're taking people in, like, like Linda did, because your guilt factors into it too, because you're grieving as well. And you're dealing with this person you love not being here anymore. And, you sort of, it all sort of gets balled into something, and you kind of have to separate the two, because they really are two different issues, and you can honor their memory. You can honor their memory the best by making sure that their fur babies have a place that best suits them, whether it's with you or with somebody else.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, here we're talking about the stress on the pets, the stress on the human too, the human involved.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
You're only capable of doing so much, right? I mean, Linda, 27 cats, who knows? That might be too much for you. I'd say it's probably going to be too
Hopefully
much.
I'll have
for you.
family with me to help, but that's
But
what we're
I'm not
going on,
dying.
honey.
I'm not
You're
dying.
not dying.
So,
Yes, you're not dying. But
so we good.
I-
Melissa, would you mind if we posted this PDF you sent us on our website so people can refer to it?
Please do. I mean,
I'd love
I'm
to.
big on lists and organizing and
Yes.
things like that. It helps me organize my thoughts. So I would be glad to. And if anybody wanted to contact me, just please do mention that you saw it on the podcast. And so I know, kind of from when she came, and we will give you a discount gladly.
Awesome.
If you do contact us, I want people to get this stuff done. I don't want, yes, I'm running a business, but I don't want money to be a burden. So I give friends discounts. So just
You
let
have
us
the
know.
best heart, Melissa.
You're
We
in
just
the
adore you.
Carolinas. You're in South Carolina.
I'm in South Carolina.
What
now.
website can they go to if they want to contact you for estate planning?
MelissaChurchLaw.com.
Okay.
Melissa Church. And it's MAL, Melissa, not
MAL,
MEL.
yeah.
Melissa.
And if somebody is not in South Carolina, I know people in North Carolina, and then I also am connected through the American Bar Association. So I'm connected nationally with the Elder Law and Trust in the Estate group. And it's very common for people to post things of needing an attorney in a particular area around the country to do this or that, and can get some quality referrals. So I'm more than happy to also reach out that way. I do that on purpose because it's just, it keeps you better to know people around the country.
No kidding. And
I
we
appreciate that. I've done
Yes.
no estate planning whatsoever. Of course, I don't have much of an estate, but I will definitely be needing your services.
What you
soon.
got, you need to know where it goes. We found out with Sebastian. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody planned on him dying 3 days after turning 38.
No.
And what we had to go through with the courts and the filing. And honestly, we didn't even do anything with it for a long time. We're just finishing it up now. And he's been gone 2 years in August because we had to get an attorney and we had to file papers. And there wasn't much of an estate, but he had some money in a bank account that with the fees were coming out, and we needed to close it up. So nobody wants to put that burden on your shoulders while you're grieving the loss of someone you love.
Sure.
It's, plan. And I love a good list because I make little check marks. I get such satisfaction out checking something off that I've done.
I'll be working on my weak spots. And we got lucky meeting you, Melissa. We were recommended to you when we were forming our 501c3, and your knowledge and help has been invaluable.
Yes.
To Cat Behavior Alliance.
The person we talked to, we just mentioned that we wanted to do this and was like, Melissa Church, the cat lover, she'll get it. And that's important because, if you don't understand and have that kind of relationship with a pet, you might miss a few spots of thinking about things. So yeah, you are definitely a treasure and we appreciate you so much.
Feeling is mutual.
We're going to learn. Oh, thank you. We're going to learn a lot from this and our followers. And we're just so glad you did this.
And we'll continue to help you network Ruby to find her the perfect home.
Perfect home.
Thank you so much for being on our show. Oh, it's much appreciated. We welcome you back anytime.
Yes.
I urge people to go to Malissa Church
Law.
law.com, MA, and
Yes.
contact Melissa if you need some help or you have some questions. And
Yes.
if she's not in your state, like she said, she'll network
She'll
and
help
help
you.
you find
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
And Linda,
Yeah.
thank you for being my ride or die as
As
usual.
always.
And of course, it goes almost without saying, but we say it every time. We thank Mark Winter for letting us host our show on Pet Life Radio. And he
Yes.
always makes us sound so good, even when we have crappy microphones. But they're better now. We got new ones. Yay!
Yes. Yes.
And just remember, everyone, every day is Catter Day. See you next time.
Bye.